Hello everyone, my name is Riley McGregor and I will be doing a firm analysis of Crocs Incorporated. So a brief overview of the history of Crocs. Back in 2002, Scott Siemens was going on a boating trip with his friends Lyden Hansen and George Bodecker, and he wanted a shoe that would be comfortable to wear all day, water resistant because they were going to be in a boat, and also odor resistant. And that's where he came up with the beach model, which is the first ever model of Croc. It's the clog model, which you see in this photo to the left, and it's what people most commonly associate Crocs with, is this clog model. It's currently headquartered in Broomfield, Colorado, and it's an international company, and their products are available in 90 different countries across 3 regions, which are the Americas, Asia Pacific, and Europe. Now I'd like to highlight Crocs' position in the footwear industry and the market. Crocs is one of the largest firms in this industry. It's currently valued at over $500 billion and is typically top 5 in terms of revenue and sheer size. They offer a variety of products such as the clog, which I previously mentioned, boots, sandals, footwear accessories, and they're actually releasing a new workwear line typically for service industries, so slip resistant shoes. The accessories can include gibbets, which are custom items that you can put on your clogs and show your personality with collaborations with Marvel, Star Wars, and other creators. They're direct competitors with numerous footwear companies such as Nike, Adidas, New Balance, Skechers. And not only do they compete directly with these companies, they also have their retail locations that will compete with other retailers such as JCPenney, Walmart, Shoe Stations, and a variety of other different retailing locations. Like all firms, Crocs does have some internal problems that can hinder its performance in the market. One of those being employee retention, which is the ability to retain employees for an extended period of time and ensure that they don't go to competitors or leave the company altogether for a different industry. And then another problem is supply chain issues. So distribution channels or factories or manufacturing plants, how they can ensure that they are getting quality products through those means and that they can keep these production rates at a consistent level while maintaining their quality, and that if there is an issue or disruptance in the supply chain, that it's not a common occurrence. The first internal issue that I want to talk about is employee retention. So compared to other companies that are of a similar size, Crocs is ranked in the bottom 30% in terms of employee retention. It's only got 25% of its employees who said they would stay there if another company offered them more money, and only half of those employees said that they're happy to go to work. So loyalty is very low at Crocs and people are not excited to go to work there. The department with the most turnover is actually human resources, which is a bit odd. This is typically one of the more steady departments compared to sales, where the turnover is very high. And I believe that this turnover rate in human resources causes a trickle-down effect. For example, if a recruiter brings you to Crocs and they tell you how it's just a great work environment and that there's opportunities to grow in that company, and then that recruiter is gone after a month or 2 of you starting to work there, then you start to detect that maybe they weren't being entirely truthful and they didn't even believe what they were selling you. So that causes employees to leave almost immediately. I do think it's important to note that with the retail locations that they have, a lot of those employees are going to be part-time students in college or high school, or young professionals who aren't really looking for a career in Crocs, they just need a job. And so that'll cause a high turnover rate, but it is alarming that of their industry, they're ranked in that bottom 30% of employee retention. The second internal problem that Crocs faces are supply chain issues. One of those being that the demand is starting to exceed the supply, and this is going to be more prevalent in the Hey Dudes products than the actual Crocs brands, such as the clog and boots that I've already mentioned. But in Q2 of 2023, there was a decrease in sales overall, and a lot of that can be attributed to the Hey Dudes products as they were new, they were starting to get popular and boom, and everyone was wanting to get them, but Crocs didn't anticipate this insane demand, and so they weren't able to provide that, and that caused a decrease in those sales. Then in East Asia, the Vietnam factories were shutting down due to a surge of the Delta variant of COVID-19. And so that caused not only a delay in manufacturing in the Asia Pacific market, but also in the United States as well. And then the distribution center for the Americas is located in Los Angeles, California. And it's so far west that it can become very difficult for products to get shipped across the Americas region, say to the east coast of the United States. And this typically is done with air freight, but Crocs has made a recent commitment to sustainability and reducing its carbon emissions, trying to become carbon neutral. And so air freight is not always the best way for them in their mission to get those products out without completely sacrificing the mission statement that they've just made in their goals. So some solutions to these internal problems can include creating more distribution centers in the Americas, as this is where around 62% of the revenue comes from for Crocs. In response to the Hey Dude situation, Crocs actually is building a distribution center in Las Vegas, Nevada, and it would be very wise to track the success and monitor the status of that distribution center to see if it would be wise to follow suit and do that for Crocs distribution centers in the Americas. Also, shifting production in Vietnam to surrounding countries such as China or Japan, Indonesia, other places where the cost is going to be pretty low, but they aren't being so reliant on Vietnam as it's struggling to keep up with the demands from the company. E-commerce is also very important, as you are just selling directly to that consumer and you don't have to worry about going to a retail store and being able to just order everything online. Make sure that you can get everything in a relatively quick amount of time. And then for employee retention, it's important to do surveys or study groups, focus groups, to see what employees are wanting. There's a bunch of studies that showed there was a disconnect between team leaders and their teams. So not getting feedback, not asking for feedback, making sure that there is a teamwork going on. Also, some people wanted some more tasks and not to be doing the same thing every day. So making sure that there's opportunities for that, or if you could introduce a hybrid work schedule, which typically makes employees want to stay with their company as they can still work on their work and social life balance. Now that I've discussed the internal problems, I think it's important to also note the external problems that Crocs is facing. One of those being the industry that it's in is extremely competitive, and the other one is the rise of counterfeit products. As I previously mentioned, the footwear industry is one of the most competitive industries in the world. Some of the most recognizable brands and the strongest brands in the world are in this industry, for example, Nike, Adidas, and New Balance. Customers always have changing needs and wants from these companies, so Crocs has to make sure that it has its finger on the pulse of these needs. For example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, people were wanting more comfortable footwear from around the house or athleisure wear. And so as Crocs had already established itself, it was able to capitalize on this. But as the pandemic went on and those needs and desires changed, Crocs sometimes was left behind. Other companies decided to make more casual, comfortable footwear. And so the industry remains very competitive as a lot of these strong firms have a good understanding of what their consumers want. Counterfeit products are also a very large external problem that Crocs has to face with websites such as Temu or DHgate. There's a lot of different companies who can make similar products that consumers can get at a lower price point. And not only does this take away from potential revenue for Crocs, it also can decrease their loyalty of customers to the brand, as someone may not realize that they've bought knockoff Crocs and they didn't fit right, or something went wrong and the production quality was very low, and so someone says, I'm never going to purchase those again, not realizing that they weren't getting the authentic brand. One of the solutions to this counterfeit problem is to utilize those patents and trademarks and copyrights to protect your brand's integrity and identity. So if there's a flood of knockoff Crocs from Temu, for example, making sure that you leverage your patents and trademarks in a court of law to ensure that those don't come back on the market and that consumers are getting the authentic Crocs clog or boot or sandal, whatever product that they're purchasing. And in order to remain competitive, Crocs can use its strong brand identity and loyalty. So making sure that they know what their customers want, whether it's more celebrity collaborations with different influencers or celebrities, such as Justin Bieber or Luke Combs. Continuing to do that, offering more customizable options or colorways depending on what's popular, and also making sure that you do focus groups or polls to make sure that you do know exactly what it is that your consumers want from you. I'll go into more detail into some other issues in the accompanying firm analysis, but thank you all for your time, and I hope you have a great evening.